Hey everyone, this is Katy Anderson, Youth Director at Beaver Lodge Alliance Church, and today I just wanted to talk to you briefly about a topic that we might all be kind of feeling at this point in the game. We've been in social distancing for a while, we've been out of school, we've been out of youth, some of you have even been out of work for quite some time. If you think about it, this has been several months, and sometimes for me it all feels like a blink of an eye. In other terms, it feels like it's been going on for an entire year. So really what I want to talk about is filling the void. And what do I mean by void? Kind of how I'm talking about void is what we're doing just to kind of fill up our day so that we don't feel bored and useless, but it's also not usually something that ends up leaving us feeling fulfilled either. So when I talk about filling that void, I'm going to talk about kind of the negative side of filling that void and what does that mean, but also positive ways that we can fill that void as well. But I think like really kind of how I wanted to share the negative side of filling that void with you is a bit of my own story, and how I came to kind of live one life and then all of a sudden kind of understanding that I was just trying to fill a void. So growing up, like I have the most amazing family. I have an older sister and a younger brother, and then two loving, amazing parents that have put up with so much over the years. Grew up Christian, I've always been Christian, but didn't always understand what that meant. Like on paper, if I was going to write you a paper about what it meant to follow Jesus, that would be super easy for me. But to like live it out and actually feel it in my own life, that actually wasn't really anything I thought about. I thought for a lot of my life, I just thought head and heart knowledge were exactly the same thing. And it probably wasn't until high school that things kind of started clicking. But in high school, I went to a Christian school. I had a solid group of friends, but that wasn't enough for me. And I, as stupid as it sounds, in about like grade 10, I became really boy crazy. And I just like, it wasn't like enough to have a boyfriend. Like, I just needed to have that attention. I needed the compliments. I needed the validation, all from guys. And I would just do anything to get that. And it was fun. It was like it was a game. But if I wasn't getting that, I felt restless and I felt agitated. And I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel wanted. And I didn't feel loved. Despite having a solid group of friends and a family that without question loved me, there was still something inside of me that was needing to be filled. And so I was doing anything that I could to fill it. And so the closest I found was all of these comments and these compliments and then the act of dating and just all these kinds of things from guys that where I was like, well, wow, this is a rush. This feels great. But I mean, kind of when you're boy crazy, you reach an end where you're either gonna go down a really dark path or you're gonna kind of wake up and be like, what the heck am I doing? And so for me, even though it was a really unfortunate circumstance, God really used it to turn my life around. So there was this instance with this one guy. I was in grade 11, so I must have been about like 16 or 17 at this point. And he and I had been flirting a lot and going back and forth, and I was definitely playing the game, but that's all it was to me, is it was just a game. And it made me feel good, so I liked it. I just kept going. And it wasn't until a series of text messages where I realized where he was at. And in my mind, I mean, we do this all the time where you think the other person is thinking the exact same thing as you. But all of a sudden, I realized this wasn't a game to him. And I got really scared because all of a sudden I wasn't in control and it definitely wasn't fun anymore. And so that void that I thought I'd been filling just kind of like shot wide open. And it's like, what am I doing? Who am I? What do I even want? And so it was just this really intense moment, just kind of my life where I was scared and ashamed. And also I just wasn't sure how to handle all of those feelings just kind of bubbling up and overflowing at once. So I actually told my parents kind of what was going on. Obviously they freaked out. No one wants to hear that from their daughter. But I mean, through that honesty, it started this whole journey for me to kind of get to know myself. And this void that I was feeling was a lack of literally like not just knowing who I am, but who I was in Jesus. Like I had never taken the time of day to even try to understand my identity in Christ. And it wasn't until I got to Bible school in Colorado that all of a sudden, like, it dawned on me, like, before when people asked, like, well, who are you? I thought they literally meant it literally. So blonde hair, blue eyes, I'm really short. And I would just give these all, like, physical list of descriptors. And I literally just got, like, knocked upside of the head and was just like, oh, that's not what anyone has been asking me this entire time. I feel really dumb. But at the same time, like, that's still, like, it's never too late to learn your identity in Jesus. And so finally, for the first time, being, like, sons and daughters of the King, like, of God, finally made sense to me. And I was overwhelmed with this sense of love and compassion and adoration. So all of those kind of gross things that I had felt and that shame that I kind of carried with me from high school, like, I was able to get rid of that and be like, Jesus, like, that's not me. That's not what you want from me. My life doesn't just have to revolve around boys and what they're saying to me. That's not actually what defines me. And looking back, that's not actually what's filling this void inside of me. So it was just this really neat kind of journey that really started at my Bible school, Timberline, where I was able to finally understand and learn with really good, like, friends and a small group leader and community, really what Jesus was saying to me, and that I am truly and deeply loved. And it's not all these outside things. It's not what these people have to say for me, but it's the truths of what Jesus says time and time again in the Bible, that I am beautifully and wonderfully made, that I was made for a purpose. I was made to worship and to glorify God and all of the gifts and abilities that He has given me. And so for each of you, like, that looks different. Like, your void, for most of you, your void probably is not boys. And that's okay. For some of us, maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's drugs. Maybe it's pornography. You know, like, there are a lot of things out there that can fill that temporary void that do actually genuinely in that moment make us feel good. And so I don't want to bring you any shame. I want you to know that I see you. And I know that this time has maybe escalated the need for that void to be filled. And I just want you to know that you can reach out to us at any one of us at the church. Like, our goal, our desire is to meet with you and to know that and for you to know that you are loved and that we are actively praying for you and seeking God on how He is leading us and what He wants us to say. So if these are some of your things that you feel a void with, like, I just want you to take just some time and just spend some time with Jesus and be like, Jesus, like, what am I hiding from? What am I running from? What is triggering me so bad? Yes, these are weird circumstances and that's enough in itself. But what else, Jesus? What else is there? And so I just kind of want you to sit there and take that. And in my early on videos, I talked about breaking agreement. I talked about forgiveness. Maybe that's something that as you're talking with Jesus about these voids you're trying to fill, maybe those are some tools that you need to kind of revisit and be like, okay, Jesus, you know what? I break agreement with shame. I break agreement with anger. You know, I break agreement with lust. There's so many different things that Satan's going to use to try and latch on to this kind of situation, this pandemic. But Jesus is stronger. Jesus is so much stronger in this pandemic. And this pandemic's got nothing on Him. And because you have His power, this pandemic's got nothing on you. So I just want you to leave you with that message that even though, like, times may feel darker than normal, Jesus still loves you. And He has good things to fill that void with. No matter what it is. Maybe it's music, exercising. I don't know. Pick up a new hobby. But try something out of the box. But talk to Jesus. Ask Him what He wants.